Good afternoon. It's John Stange, and I just wanted to take a quick minute to explain why I think you don't need a car payment and even how to buy a car without financing it. This is something that a lot of people don't think is possible, but it absolutely is possible. Now, a while ago, I can't remember exactly when I shared something about this on my personal social media, but I had just shared something about not having a car payment, and I was surprised at the reaction that I got from some people. There were some people that I know really well, people that I think are perfectly lovely, perfectly wonderful people who said it was impossible to drive a reliable car without having a car payment. And they also seemed to indicate, one in particular seemed to indicate that it was only possible to drive a car without a car payment if you were above average wealthy. You just got to be loaded. But most average people, they need a car payment. And I totally disagree with that. But it was just very interesting to me when I posed that question or just posed that information and just shared that on my social media, and I watched the reactions to it. People actually don't seem to believe that it's possible to drive a reliable car without having a car payment, but it really is. And I'll explain to you really quickly how I think it's possible for most of us to actually accomplish that. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this recently, but average car payments at present, at the time I'm recording this video, for new cars, it's $735 a month, and that keeps on increasing. I keep seeing different things where people have car payments right around $1,000 a month, and I that just blows my mind. I remember the first mortgage I ever had on my very first home was about $500 per month for the mortgage, and when I look at new car payments being at $735 a month, that's just amazing to me. And I'm even seeing used car payments right around 523. These are the averages right now. I think both of those are much too high. And so I want to just kind of take you through a little process here how you could actually buy a reliable car and drive reliable cars without having a car payment. Now, look at these two cars that I have pictured on the screen. The top one is a Toyota FJ Cruiser, and the bottom car is a Honda Civic. And back in 2007, I was driving a brand new Toyota FJ Cruiser, and I thought it was an interesting car. At the time when it came out, it was certainly a novel, kind of different car. I didn't see too many on the road at that point, anyway. People used to ask me about it all the time. It was the first time in my life that anyone ever cared what I was driving and ever asked me about anything that I was driving. And so it felt kind of cool to drive something new and different. But I remember at one point during that period of time thinking to myself, why do I have this car? My wife and I, we had four little kids. Our finances were not such that we should be buying new cars and having expensive car payments. And I remember doing math one evening and thinking to myself, I bet you if I got something a little bit more modest, I could reduce my monthly expenses by several $100s. And so I decided one day that I wasn't coming home until I had found something different to drive. And my wife was really surprised. She said, "Are you sure? Because you really like that FJ Cruiser." And I said, I'm sure. You're going to see me tonight, and I'm going to be driving something different." And I went out looking for different cars that are economical and reliable and tend to be on the inexpensive side of things. And I came across a charcoal color 2005 base model Honda Civic. It had crank windows, but it had low mileage, and it's known for being a reliable car. And I remember going into the car dealership, and I said to the dealer that I wanted to trade my essentially new, I'd had it for about a year at that point, my essentially new FJ Cruiser for that base model Honda Civic. And his comment to me was, "Aren't you going in the wrong direction?" And I explained to him that my motivation wasn't whether or not I had a fancier car. My motivation was actually just reducing my expenses and not living so close to the edge financially. And so I traded that car. I still had a loan on that Honda Civic, but my payment, I think, was it was just a little over $100. It was nothing. And what I ended up doing was I paid it off very quickly. and then had no payment. And that was a wonderful thing. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is just start by reducing your payment. If you're in the midst of a car payment right now and you think, oh, I could never have a reliable car without a car payment. All right, well, gradually let's get you to the spot of not having a car payment. If you want to follow the pattern that I followed, I began with reducing my car payment by going to from something that was a bit more extravagant for the time to something much more modest. And I went from having a cool car to having almost an invisible car. Nobody cares when you're driving a base model Honda Civic. And in fact, at the time, people thought it was kind of comical that it had crank windows, but that's what it had. No power equipment, nothing fancy. It did have AC, and that was important to me. Second thing you do is this, though. There was obviously a difference in monthly expense between that FJ Cruiser and that Honda Civic. So what you start doing is, all right, you're already used to spending that amount on the more expensive car. You just put the difference away in a savings account. You just find a high yield savings account. You put it away. You don't touch it for anything else. You just put the difference away in a high yield savings account, and you save up enough for your next vehicle. You make your regular payment on your current vehicle, and then you just save the difference, the balance between what you were spending and what you're spending now. You just put it away in a savings account, let it earn a little interest. Just pick a high yield savings account, don't touch it, and just put that away and save that up. The next thing you do is when it's time to buy your next car, you look and see how much you have in that account, and you buy a reliable used vehicle that doesn't exceed your balance. Now, this is a picture I took earlier today. This is a 2003 Ford F 150 that I bought last summer. It's used, it's in nice shape, and I drive it regularly and I like it very much. It's not our only car, but I decided I wanted an extra car actually at this point. And I thought, all right, well, I'll just pay cash for something that I think is nice and used. Doesn't have to be brand new, but I found something really nice, not expensive. And so you just buy a reliable vehicle, a reliable used vehicle specifically that does not exceed your balance. You have to have the cash to do it. So you look and see how much do I have in cash? And then that's what you buy. You stick to that budget. Then you keep your car for as long as possible while methodically saving up for its replacement. So you just keep this as a pattern, right? So going back to that Civic, I drove that Civic for 15 years. I had that car for 15 years. It was reliable. It had a reputation for reliability, and I thought that was wonderful. And I kept it for a good long time, and I saved up for its replacement. But the thing is, I didn't have to replace it anytime soon. I drove that thing for 15 years. Here's another thing that I think is helpful. Don't let what you drive influence how you feel about yourself. I know an older member of my family who is very much influenced by just what he drives being kind of a reflection on how he feels about himself. Now, this is a picture I took of the instrument cluster in that F 150. It's got 160,000 miles on it. And, but the car's so nice. It's one owner, someone who owned it before me, took good care of it. I didn't spend that much on it. It's a nice car to drive around. I really like it. But at the same time, I don't let what I drive influence how I feel about myself. The car at the time I'm recording this. This car's 21 years old, and but I have a lot of fun with it. It's wonderful. It's like a bonus vehicle that I decided to buy, and I thought, this is just a lot of fun. But it doesn't make me feel like I don't have to impress anyone. Is basically what I'm saying with it. And I know someone who spent his entire adult life trying to impress people with his cars. And as a result, it really hurts him financially, majorly, majorly. Number six on my list here is this: following this pattern is one of the primary reasons I get to live a debt free lifestyle. Specifically, going back to that Civic that I showed you a picture of a few moments ago. This, by the way, is my F 150 out in front of our house. Our house is paid off. The F 150 is paid off. My wife's car is paid off. My other car is paid off. We live a debt-free lifestyle, completely debt-free, and buying reliable used cars that we hold on to for a good long period of time and only paying cash, only paying what we can afford for the vehicle, only spending what we have in cash in that account is what allows us to, I mean, it really contributes to living a debt-free lifestyle. I look at people that are spending 700, $800 a month on their cars, and they think, why am I not able to get ahead? Well, part of the reason you're not able to get ahead is because you spend too much money on vehicles. And I think the reason you're doing it in some cases may be just because of your own personal insecurities. You want people to think that you're doing well. And because you want people to think that you're doing well, you end up spending too much on cars. And so I just want to throw this out there. This is a pattern that we've followed. We've been following this pattern since November of 2007. So it's a good long time that we've been following this pattern. It's worked out wonderfully for us. We often refer to that Honda Civic that we drove for 15 years as the unsung hero that helped us pay off our house and pay off our other debts because we didn't have major car expenses and just lived frugally. That made a huge difference. So I hope this pattern helps you out. Leave a comment if you think it's a good pattern. If you disagree with me, leave a comment as well. Happy to interact about it. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you in the next video.